on the March 2025 What's Neat.
We've got an amazing layout tour. It's truly a family affair with Brad Joseph.
The What's Neat show is sponsored by Lombard Hobbies, your value hobby shop for over 40 years of modelers helping modelers. Big inventory, value pricing, fast shipping, and great service.
And by Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com. And by Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com.
And thank you for helping us support the best hobby in the world.
This is What's Neat for March 2025. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, and this month we've got a good show in that we've got an amazing layout tour. It's truly a family affair with Brad Joseph. He's been so supportive of this hobby his entire life, and this month he shared with us his life's work, and that's a beautiful layout. Just absolutely great segment this month on What's Neat. We've also got a good segment from the boys at Bachmann Industries. Tyler Haney and Matt Stern share all of the new products coming out for this month. And it is this month. I'm shooting this right now. It's March 2nd, so this is a pretty updated What's Neat video. I'm doing an amazing photo shoot today, and I love it when I get to do this and share this with you. First of all, it's 50 degrees, beautiful day. And I'm shooting these Broadway Limited Berkshire locomotives. I know these have been in the model press and talked about now for over a year, since I think the initial announcement. And these models have finally come out. I'm using a great big reflector to get light into the front of these things. But the detail work on these things is exquisite, as we have now come to expect, really, from Broadway Limited. These come with Paragon 4 sound system in them. I haven't run them yet, but I'm sure they're going to run just as sweet as my C&O locomotives that I just take great pride in. I'm doing a simple photo shoot. I've got the Santa Fe version here that I presently shot. I know during the World War II era, probably around 1945, Santa Fe acquired these from the Boston and Maine. I'm not sure if they had 22 or not. I need to read up on the book on this. But these things were built in the 20s. And so if Santa Fe acquired a few of these for war surplus to keep freight rolling during World War II, during 45, and then they were all ultimately scrapped by 1949. I've got the Boston and Maine version here that I have yet to photograph. These have got short tenders, 4-axle tenders, coal burners, number 4012 here. The one characteristic of these locomotives is the feed water heater hanging from the front boiler as we move into the Southern Pacific version here. Again, another beautiful, look at the number boards on that. So, wow. What a neat offering. I wanted to share it with the viewers of What's Neat. We really appreciate it when all of the manufacturers share the products, some of the exquisite work that we see being made these days on What's Neat. And so with that, let's continue on with the rest of this What's Neat for March. Be sure to check out the What's Neat This Week podcast that we shoot down here every Saturday night, keeping you updated on a weekly basis of what's new in this, the best hobby in the world. And things are changing all the time, and the new products, you can hardly keep up with all the quality stuff that's coming out. So now with that, let's continue on with the rest of this March 2025 What's Neat.
And today on What's Neat This Week, I'll be walking you through my dad, Brad Joseph's train layout. You see, my dad has a really unique hobby, and we keep him in the basement.
Yep, I'm a model railroader.
Actually, aren't you considered a master model railroader?
Well, yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
And we're about to tell you all about what that means, because like I said, it's really unique.
So I've been working on this layout since about 1986. So you can imagine parts of it are going on almost 40 years old. I build almost everything myself. In this day and age, you can buy a lot of these metal cars and they're ready built. You can just take them out of the box and set them on the track. But I don't like to do that. I build them out of kits and different pieces. I've got, the railroad normally has 278 freight cars on it, 41 passenger cars, 20 steam locomotives at any given time, 51 diesel locomotives. I've built and have 9 bridges going over 4 different rivers, the Weber River, the North Platte River, South Platte River. There's 145 buildings that I've built. The turnouts, or switches as people call them, there's 128 of those. 356 feet of main line. Now the main line would be like the interstate highway compared to city streets and country roads. And then another 446 feet of yards and sidings. So I started building this model railroad in about 1986 with this particular scene right here. And my type of model railroad is what's called a prototypical model railroad. I have buildings that are replicas of real buildings. The names, place names, and scenery all replicate the actual locations. This is the Union Pacific Railroad, Wyoming Division. We're standing here in my model of Cheyenne, Wyoming, both capital and headquarters of the Union Pacific Railroad across the state of Wyoming. Union Pacific was the first railroad that was built all the way across the United States, and they were involved in the driving the Golden Spike. So Cheyenne, Wyoming is the capital of the state of Wyoming and has some very unique structures. This building here is a model of the station that's still in Cheyenne to this day, and it's now the Wyoming State Transportation Museum. Now that's called selectively compressed. That's not built to scale because the structure would be about this long and I wouldn't have room for it in the layout, so it's built to a smaller scale. There's a backdrop with the state capitol. All these buildings have the proper signs and names and color paint schemes of the buildings that are still there in downtown Cheyenne today. So I went to college at the University of Wyoming in Laramie, Wyoming. This particular part of my layout duplicates downtown Laramie, Wyoming. There's the Union Pacific Passenger Station, and that is a model that's called scratch built. I built that out of nothing but raw materials to the dimensions and size and color scheme to look like the real station does in downtown Laramie. Here is the main street in Laramie, and you can see a lot of these structures are made and painted to look like those buildings as well. Now most of those were made out of kits, a kit that you'd buy the box and glue the pieces together with an instruction. This coal dock here was basically a toy model that I took all apart and completely modified to look much more realistic and like the one that sat in Laramie, Wyoming. The cement plant there to your right is what's called kit bashed. I scratch built some pieces out of nothing but raw materials. I bought pieces from different kits and different models and put them together to resemble the Laramie Valley cement plant in Laramie, Wyoming. This is a model of the world's largest steam locomotive. It's called the Big Boy. 600 tons, 145 feet long, 8,000 horsepower. The Union Pacific actually just rebuilt one of these to run it for historical purposes, public relations, and it's the largest operating steam, always was the largest operating steam locomotive in the world. It's my favorite. So this is the town of Wasatch on the border of Wyoming and Utah. So you'll notice here, there's scenes where the buses are pulling up and changing customers going from one town to another. Now I'm going to take you to a section of my layout that I'm very proud of. You very rarely see a winter scene on a layout, and it's because it's kind of hard to replicate. But this area here is called the Utah Canyons. It's the Weber River. This geographic structure over here is called Devil's Slide. This area is called Taggart's with the mountains and the peaks and the rocks in the background. And to this day, the Union Pacific Railroad still runs through this canyon. But I took foam, carved the foam to look like those mountains, then put a thin layer of like a paper mache over it and painted it. So that's all made out of foam. Now the snow is made out of an artistic paste that I put little flecks of sparkles in, and every now and then you catch the glint off the snow, which is what makes it look a lot more realistic. If you just paint something white, it doesn't look realistic because you don't see the sun reflecting from it. But I love winter scenes, and you can see I got a beaver dam here, a beaver lodge, I got a moose, and the beaver's gnawing down the trees, and every now and then I got to come down and feed the beaver something else, otherwise they're going to cut down all my trees. So now this is a pretty sophisticated feature of model railroads that most people have a hard time understanding, but a long time ago there was a famous model railroader who was involved in theater in the 50s. The name was Frank Ellison, and he invented this process called staging yards, where if an actor's waiting to go on stage to play his part, he's standing in the wings, he's standing off the side of the stage. Well, that's what these yards represent. These trains are representing other towns, Denver, Colorado, or North Platte, Nebraska, or Ogden, Utah, and they're off stage. They're waiting to come onto the railroad to play their part, if you will. So this device here is what's called a CTC panel, centralized traffic control, and this is the sort of control that a railroad dispatcher would have 100 miles away from the railroad that he's actually running. This monitor I have so I can see trains on the other side of the mountains, which route they're coming on, this upper route or the lower route that's hidden here in this tunnel. Or it also will show me a train coming through Laramie, Wyoming. When I know if there's a train coming in there, I need to get these tracks ready in a line for it to come the rest of the way into these staging yards later on. So my railroad is controlled by what's called a DCC system, Digital Command Control. The brand that I use is Digitrax, and this is one of the computers that operates the layout. I have wireless controllers that work through a wireless network, and what you do is you enter the address of the locomotive that you have programmed in. I generally use the number of the locomotive itself. So this locomotive is 3983. Enter that, and now I can control all the features on the railroad, on the locomotive. For instance, the whistle, the bell, turn on the headlight. Now you can also program the way the train actually runs. You can program it for momentum, like it's pulling a much heavier train. You can program it so it accelerates very slowly. You can program it so it will automatically make certain sounds under certain circumstances. There are 36 different functions that you can individually program on each of these locomotives. And what you do is you install a decoder like this. This one's made by a company in Durango, Colorado called Soundtrax. So one of these is installed in here. Hear that? Now the other thing is the ultimate goal that you have for a model railroad like this is what's called an operating session. Well, I get my friends together once a month or so, and we basically play a board game. It's like Dungeons and Dragons for real, would be the easiest way to describe it. So we have 28 different trains. Each train has a name and a list of instructions, what it's supposed to do. Each train has a list of cars that you either set out at a factory or a cement plant, or pick up at a refinery or a grain elevator. There's one of these little yellow cards for each car, and inside is what's called a waybill. And it tells you exactly where this car is going and what you're supposed to do with it. And as a result, everybody works together to try and run this thing smoothly. Now, you've got to run the trains properly. You got to avoid mechanical problems. You got to avoid logistical mistakes, and you have to pay close attention to what you're doing. Nobody wins this game, but at the end of the night, if you've got a great operating session, it's a lot of fun, and people do it very realistically. That's kind of the ultimate game.
Some of my favorite elements of the layout since I was a child is the cattle farm. And if you listen carefully when I flip this switch, you'll hear mooing. The haunted house, complete with a little trick-or-treater and a jack-o'-lantern. The lake. Now, water is actually a very tricky element for model railroaders to master, and my dad and my grandpa were very good with their water. And there's a little goose, swan, what is that? The sugar beet factory with a working gate. If you're driving along this route and you get tired, you can stop in for a stay at the Wigwam Hotel, and you can even bring your little dog, who's modeled after our dog Benji, who stayed with us in real life at the real Wigwam Hotel. And a new addition in the last several years is this eagle. I'll just turn on the neon light and have some applause.
Have you with us and be our guest tonight?
Thank you so much, Jim. It's always a pleasure to work with an entertainer like you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Now tell us what you'd like to say.
Okay, and two funny stories from my childhood that I'll never forget is one, I was down here playing when I was like 8, and I'm sure my dad talked about it, but you have to weather things so it looks old. And so this roundhouse is weathered with dust. I wrote my name in it because I just thought it was regular dust. And my dad was like, "What did you do? I worked so hard to make it dusty." And he had to completely re-weather the whole roundhouse. And the second thing that made my dad so mad for weeks is our neighbor's cat would come into our house and we would let him in. And he came down in the basement and walked around and punched holes on accident in the mountains because he was just walking around. My dad had a lot of repairs for that.
It wasn't by accident, it was a devil cat. So this display case has some unusual locomotives and models in it. Many of these engines here belong to my dad. Now these don't have all the advanced electronics that mine do, and it's very difficult to make them work on a model railroad like mine. But my dad had these in the 60s and 70s that he ran. His favorite railroad was the Great Northern. They had this beautiful green boiler, red cab roof paint scheme with a Rocky Mountain goat, which was his favorite animal. This model here is a model of the first locomotive that the Southern Pacific or Central Pacific in those days had, and this is a very rare locomotive here. That's just too fragile and too delicate and too complex to actually operate. These are a different scale. This is what's called S scale as opposed to my layout, which is HO. And this is a little bit larger scale. These are specific models of Colorado narrow gauge railroads, like many of you may have heard of the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge. These are some other S scale models. This is an O scale model. That's 1/48, twice as big as the models in my layout. So these are just some of my favorite collectibles. My mom loved collecting railroad dining car china, and this was all some of her collection I like to display here as well.
How can anyone reach you in case they need any help or questions?
Well, I'm a member of the National Model Railroad Association. My email address is bradjoseph3985@gmail.com. I'm involved in conventions, both national and regional and local model railroad conventions.
For this segment of What's Neat, I got 2 for 1 here. Tyler Haney and Matt Stern from Bachmann Industries in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to give us an update on the upcoming products for this spring. I know, right, guys? Here it comes. It's coming.
Yeah.
How are you today? Thank you for being on What's Neat.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing great. We've got double the Bachmann fun, or double trouble, however you want to put it.
Yeah, probably more the second one.
Yeah.
Rock
so
and roll.
Today we're going to be focusing on our recently released 2025 catalog, and here it is. It's available now. Print copies from your local hobby shop or from BachmannTrains.com, and we also have the digital version on our website. But let me just bring this in real close so we can show that beautiful cover photograph that you did, Ken.
I know, you don't even need to open the catalog. We'll I mean, it takes you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it really is an awesome shot. And I think one of my favorite things is the story behind how we got this shot. This is we went a little off book for this, didn't we?
It's normal. It's totally normal. Let's think, what were we doing? We were trying to shoot for a sunny day. And couple shoots, lots of shoots, couple sunny days. And I shot a few test shots with complete overcast. And guess what you used? Overcast. But luck of the draw, it came out magnificent for capturing that mood effect.
Absolutely, yeah.
So good job. Let's do another one, guys. I love that.
You should, when you're editing this, throw up the other photo of the Dreyfus that you took as well, because that was a phenomenal shot.
Are you talking about the side shot of it?
Yeah.
I'm showing it right now. Check this out. Now, this is absolutely unaltered daylight. Just what the beautiful lines on this model. And to see it in a photograph, an image like this that portrays it as the real thing, do you know how exciting? Can you smell it? What must it have been like to hear it? To be a person back then, before we had these cell phones. You know, I mean, just amazing, amazing. Good job, guys, because you recreated that in the model.
Yeah, it's a great model. We're very proud of it. The HO Dreyfus Hudson with TCS Wow Sound, that'll be coming out in just a couple of weeks here.
Very cool.
All right, so we have about 30 odd slides to get through here in the next 10 minutes for the new announcements from the catalog. So I'm gonna disappear and throw up the screen share here, so we can get started on that. So as usual, our catalog announcements typically are more focused on expanding the existing line of products with new paint schemes, road numbers, road names, rather than new tooling announcements, which typically happen in the summer, are NMRA announcements. So with that in mind, we'll start with these first couple of products here, which are our latest additions to our Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey licensed product range. And we've been working with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey group for a long time, from back when they had the original iteration of the circus right through to now. They've got the reimagined circus, and we're representing both eras of the circus in this release with a stock car based on the paint schemes seen on the circus trains and the I guess Tyler, this is probably from the when were the prototypes that we based these on? Were they the 50s or 60s?
I believe this would have been the late 40s through the 1950s, so the post-World War II era.
And these would have been the first cars that wore that iconic silver and red scheme that pairs very nicely with the passenger cars that we've already done. And a little bit more whimsical and a little more up to date, we have their current image on a popcorn butter tank car.
Very interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
We also have a second train set edition, or second train set version of our Alaska set that we announced in our NMRA brochure. That was the McKinley Explorer, and this is the Princess Cruises Denali Express, which
very cool.
They're very similar in reality. They actually both have the same new paint scheme with different logos, so we're happy to bring both versions of this train to our line.
How many cars were in the prototype? Because that looks like a beautiful consist of cars.
So in the prototype, they actually typically run both trains merged in one train, from what I've seen at least. Mm-hmm. You'll see this a cut of Princess Cruises cars and then a cut of McKinley Explorer cars. Wow. and they'll be hosting riders from the different cruises that have arrived in Alaska. For the land portion of their cruise. And I believe they may also consist with Alaska Railroad cars as well. So the whole train's pretty long.
That's amazing. That's a whole nother thing to model that how many of us really don't know much about that? That's cool.
Yeah. They're a great partner to work with. And Ken, I told this on a couple of our live streams. I forget if I told it on yours. When I was 2 years old back in 1999, my brother and I together, we received the original version of the McKinley Explorer train set as a Christmas gift. And that was my first Bachmann train. And now, all those years later, I got to work on the artwork for the latest version of the McKinley as well as the Denali. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool personal connection for me.
No, that is very cool.
Coming full circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Tyler, I'll keep my mouth shut for the next one because I think you probably have more you can tell us about these.
Sure. So we're getting now into our HO scale locomotives. We've got a couple new additions here. Our Southern Pacific GS4 locomotive, the very famous Daylight 484 Northern. We're offering it now in 3 new paint schemes. This is a DCC Sound Ready locomotive with a 21-pin plug for the decoder system of your choice, a plug-and-play installation. And for these 3 paint schemes, we're doing 3 different eras of the famous Southern Pacific 4449. We've got a version with the larger billboard-style Southern Pacific lettering from the 1950s. We've got the American Freedom Train red, white, and blue paint scheme just in time for the 50th anniversary of that train. And we've got a brand new paint scheme that we've never offered before. This was around 2000. The locomotive was borrowed by Burlington Northern Santa Fe for some employee special excursions. So we've got it in all black with white lining and the BNSF logo. So a bit of a different look for the GS4.
That's beautiful. That American Freedom Train, you said the 50th anniversary. Now you're making me feel old. And I'll tell you why. That train came to St. Louis around 1976, 75, somewhere in that range. And it was parked downtown at the Arch. And Jimmy Carter was president at the time. So Rosalind was there and his daughter was there. And I got to shake his daughter's hand because they were greeting people outside the train. I got to go see the train, but I also got to see the president, his wife, and his daughter. So that was my story about that train.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I know, everybody's got a story. This is why, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's also worth mentioning for these first 2 that obviously you've seen these paint schemes on our 4449 before, but there will be some paint updates to these to align them more closely with the prototypes.
Okay.
All right, so moving on, we have the USRA 060. This is not our new 060 with the sound, but our classic 060. We're bringing this back in a couple of paint schemes. These are fantastic entry-level models. These are great for, if you're looking for a low-cost switching locomotive, or, if you're expanding from a train set and you want to add some more motive power, these are great for that. 2 Union Pacific schemes. We're doing the Greyhound scheme on a slip tender version, and then we're doing a Vanderbilt tender version with the traditional Union Pacific steam locomotive black.
Very nice. Are those coming with sound?
These do not have sound, no. Okay. These are, I believe these are both straight DC. Is that right, Tyler?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good.
We've got a new paint scheme for our 44 American. This is the DCC Ready model, and it's in the colors of our, longtime Christmas Railroad, the North Pole and Southern. And this is locomotive number 1, the St. Nicholas. You're going to see coming up in these slides. We've realized, just how many people love, trains and Christmas, model trains and Christmas. They go hand in hand, and a lot of people like specifically decorated trains for Christmas. So we've got a lot of new Christmas stuff to show off in this catalog, and I think this locomotive, it gives a kind of a Victorian Christmas feel with the colors and the classic, the balloon stack and the wood burning tender. So this was a fun one to do.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then let's see, next here, this is one for all you modern modelers out there. We have a couple of new additions to our Siemens Charger range.
Okay.
One here that you'll probably be...
No, I'm all over the screen now. Tell me what's going on here. I got to know.
What's that?
I need to know here. Talk to me.
So this first one here, we have obviously offered Amtrak Midwest with a couple of road numbers in the past.
Yes.
This one's a little different for anyone who's familiar with the goings-on in the prototype railroad world in the Midwest. You'll know that number 4626 got an ALC 42 style streamlined nose at some point in 2024. When we saw that happen, we realized it was a no-brainer to add this variation to our line. It's currently a one-off, but there may or may not be more that follow this design change. So we're happy to bring this to our line. And of course, we also are introducing the Via Rail Canada Lumi scheme. This will be our second road number series for our Via Rail Canada complete consist.
Okay.
Individually available, but can be put together to make a complete consist. The Lumi scheme was in celebration of reaching the halfway point in Via Rail's delivery of their Siemens Venture and Charger sets, and it's supposed to, although it's not exactly alike, it's supposed to echo the look of the paint schemes that they had on their United Aircraft turbo trains in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, wow, I get it. That's cool. Yes. Very nice. So would that locomotive pull those yellow cars that you guys made, the yellow, silver, and blue cars?
So it actually has a full consist that we've replicated that's in the same paint scheme.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's a totally unique train set that you can run alongside the more standard Via Rail consist.
Very cool. Okay, put me on the list for one of those.
All right. And we've got a couple of new additions to our GP40 series. Tyler, you want to talk about these?
Yeah, so for the GP40, up top, this is a DCC onboard locomotive, and that's a new paint scheme for us, or one that we haven't done in quite some time, which is the Louisville and Nashville, the family line system version. I think I've always thought it's an underrated paint scheme with the bold red and yellow stripes. That was a fun one to do. And just below that, that's a DCC ready GP40 with the 21 pin plug. And that's featuring the colors of Pan Am Railways, which is a brand new licensing agreement that we just signed a couple months ago. And that'll be the first Pan Am Railways locomotive that we're offering.
Very interesting.
Yeah, for anyone who's unfamiliar with Pan Am Railways, it was the rebranding of the Guilford system, which did have some connections with the original Pan Am airline. It ran as Pan Am Railways through about the last 20 years or so until it was actually purchased by CSX. They purchased the lines the Pan Am Railways operated and the equipment within the last couple of years. But a lot of them are still running around in these colors to this day. And here we've got the consist that I was telling you about, Ken. This is the Lumi scheme Via Rail consist. So you've got the 4 passenger cars, 2 business, 2 coach. Then you've got the cab car, with just like on the standard Via Rail version, comes with DCC and sound on the cab car, so you can get all the appropriate sounds that you would expect from a cab car, such as the horn, bell, brakes, stuff like that. And it has all the controllable lighting features that the locomotive would have as well.
Very nice. The Canadians sure are making some pretty trains right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got a great partnership with Via to bring those out. If you folks haven't seen it, it came out a couple months ago. Check out on Via Rail Canada's YouTube channel their new commercial for the Siemens passenger train fleet, which features the Bachmann models of the Charger and the Venture.
It shows them as a train set, which is not that was some artistic license on their part. They are all individually purchased in reality, but it's a very cool ad, and we were honored to have our locomotive featured on it.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, the locomotive was also moving on its own, like it was in Toy Story. So that's not the only thing that they took.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So staying in Canada, we're also bringing a new paint scheme to our 85-foot Bud Full Dome in HO scale. This is actually, believe it or not, the same car in reality that was Amtrak's Ocean View until a number of years ago, which we also have in our line. That particular car has given us a lot of mileage in terms of paint schemes. And,
absolutely.
It was obviously with Amtrak in multiple eras of their paint schemes. Then it went to the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. You can also purchase that version as part of our Bachmann line. And then after a couple of years with operating on the Western Maryland Scenic, it was sold to Canadian National to become part of their business train as CN 119.
It looks good.
And then Tyler, these accompany the locomotive you were talking to us about. So tell us about these.
Yeah, old-time passenger cars for the North Pole and Southern to go with that 440 we had a few slides ago. We've got a combine, the Partridge, and a coach, the Turtle Dove. So the goal is to eventually, hopefully bring out the entire 12 Days of Christmas as a old-timey passenger train. Just having some fun with that.
And then, if you really want to be authentic with it, you got to get 2 Turtle Doves.
That's true. That'll be a very long train.
It would be, yeah. It would just get increasingly longer with each name.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to just do rapid fire through these freight cars, just because I know we're running short on time here.
Those are neat little cars right there.
Yep, this is our ore car. We're bringing it out in a more recent era paint scheme. This would be seen typically from the 70s onwards. I believe 70s, right, Tyler?
70s or 80s. It was one of those. Union Pacific with the shield logo, a new variation on that.
And then we've got
oh wow! Check out
another addition to our Pan Am license.
Very interesting.
Which is the Pan Am Railways boxcar, the outside brace boxcar. This is with our working end of train device that actually has a red flashing light that'll work in whether you're on DC or DCC. And
one car with different lettering designs on either side. You've got the large Pan Am lettering and then the smaller Pan Am Railways. Who knows why they did it like that, but we replicated it on the model.
And I believe in some of the information I found about this car, they intended one side to be a more of a billboard for the brand.
Okay.
We've got two 50-foot plug door boxcars, but 3 paint schemes. All right, Tyler?
Yeah, speaking of cars with 2 different sides, you've got the Canadian National Newsprint car on the top. That was originally painted for a TV commercial, I believe, but after that it was released into regular service with 2 different sides like that. The regular CN paint scheme and then the special paint scheme showing all the different letterheads of Canadian newspapers to show that car was carrying newsprint paper. And we've got another Christmas car, the Santa's Bakery car.
It's worth noting that the CN car was actually painted to be in the same consist as the multicolored, rainbow-colored cylindrical hopper that we also offer in our line. We've got 2 40-foot boxcar editions. We've got CP Rail and Action Yellow. And then we've got Union Pacific's Challenger Merchandise Service scheme, which is a very cool new stylish scheme.
Good job, yeah.
It's a new old-time boxcar, New York Central and Hudson River grain line. Perfect to add to your old-time, pre-1900s trains with the 440.
Yes.
This is a cool one. Tyler, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, this is a Louisville and Nashville gondola that was used specifically by the railroad for moving traction motors for diesel locomotives between their various repair shops and facilities. This particular model is our track cleaning gondola, which has the very reliable track cleaning pad attached to it to clean your track as it's moving along. On the next slide, we've got a new 52-foot flat car chassis system in the blue Theo lettering. That was a nice paint scheme to find to add some color. Usually a lot of flat cars are black or brown. And then we got some new cabooses here. Our Missouri Pacific style bay window transfer caboose, 2 new paint schemes for that.
Good job.
Yes. Yeah, the Union Pacific down there is a maintenance of way paint scheme that was originally from the Missouri Pacific. And we've also got a Family Lines car to complement that GP40.
And here's
new bay window caboose as well. See effects.
Yep, in a more recent paint scheme. This is prototype of this car is found in maintenance of way service. Got 2 additions to our 36-foot wide vision caboose. I always want to say 36-inch, and I realize how ridiculous that caboose that length would look. And we've got 2 additions to our bobber caboose. Again, the North Pole and Southern caboose will work very nicely with the 440 and the old-time passenger cars that we're offering in Christmas colors. And then East Broadtop 27 is the second East Broadtop caboose we've offered in the old-time bobber caboose range, and this one features their iconic acorn logo, which I think will be very popular. In HON 30/009, we're expanding our Welsh narrow gauge range with Sir Hayden, which is another Talyllyn Railway, locomotive. We just received not too long ago our stock of our Talaflin steam locomotive, and in reality, this is the other primary locomotive that the Talaflin Railway uses alongside the Talaflin. So we're offering that once again in two paint schemes that it wore in reality at different periods in its preservation.
All right, this is a beautiful little piece, and that green model there looks dynamite. Now what I got one in my hand right here. Check this out. This is the one where you guys first came out with this model, and you did it with the Thomas licensing, the Thomas line. And
Correct,
gosh,
yeah.
And so people were taking these and putting real faces, real fronts on them, but now you're doing it. This is awesome.
I figured we'd save them a step.
I don't want to put you on the hook, but you know what? Something that small, and this is really small, I don't think you can put a decoder in that, can you?
Oh, these are standard DC.
Okay.
It's I don't know, Tyler. What do you think? Is it possible?
I think I've seen a couple of folks in the who have the Thomas models have managed to squeeze in decoders. I can't say for certain, what size, where you would even fit that in a locomotive that small, but there's a lot of ingenious modelers out there who can make it work.
Good job on this. I could see a small project layout that would be somebody would add this to their HO scale layout as another really cool, interesting effect on their layout. Hell, you could actually model a whole railroad based on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And for North American modelers, there were actually a number of similar-looking saddle tank narrow gauge steam locomotives in industrial use in the early 20th century or late 19th century. They were predominantly painted all black, but you could easily also use one of these for a North American layout if you did some little bit of adaptation to it.
It's perfect. It runs on N-scale track. It's perfect. Good job, guys.
And along with that, we're also offering a Festiniog Railway coal wagon. Festiniog Railway is another Welsh narrow gauge line, very famous. We're offering this with 2 road numbers for actually the same car wore these 2 road numbers at different periods. So we're gradually expanding this line, so expect more from us down the road with this.
Very good.
Moving to N-scale, we have a few N-scale freight car announcements. This one, this is a pretty cool vintage-looking Christmas car, using our high cube box car with the plug door style. And then Tyler, you're gonna talk a little bit about the next few are some more prototypical cars. So you wanna talk about those?
Sure. Yeah. So we got 2 new road names for the outside brace box car and N-scale. We've got the Pan Am Railways car again, just like the HO version. We've also got Florida East Coast, which is a pretty unique paint scheme. That kind of reddish orange, and it doesn't show it in this drawing, but it has black ends as well. So that's a pretty nice looking car.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. We've got some new tank cars as well. We've got 3 new 3-dome tank cars with some colorful paint jobs. You've got the Protex Industries, which I believe was either oil or chemical. I'd have to check my notes on that. But you've got the Soto chemical coatings as well. A nice little kind of jade green color there. And one more Christmas car. I think this is the last one. We have the North Pole Eggnog Company. Very nice festival car. We've also got a new single dome tank car, Beehive Corn Syrup, which was a Canadian brand, and a very colorful car. It's always fun to look through and sift through all the paint scheme opportunities and find something unexpected like a yellow and blue tank car like that. New paint scheme 452 flat car and N-scale. We're doing Burlington Northern. And now moving away from the N-scale rolling stock, we've got this new addition to our Easy Track line. We did it in HO, and now we're doing it in N-scale, the concrete tie Easy Track with nickel silver rails. You can see there all the pieces we're offering initially. We've got the 10-inch straight with or without the re-railer and terminal plug there. Bring this in closer so you can see the profile of the ties.
Wow, that's bulletproof.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect for If you have a modern Amtrak or commuter railroad, or you just have anywhere that has one of the main lines, like the Transcontinental BNSF that has been rebuilt with concrete ties for increased durability and speeds, it'll be perfect for that. Here's the 11.25-inch radius curb. And we also have complementary turnouts, which can be operated manually, or it can be connected up to the remote control box, just like our standard turnouts with the wood ties.
Wow, yes.
So we've got some new ON30 editions as well. And being somewhat of an ON30 fan, I'll chime in on these again. We've got a new release of our 260s now. Well, also, I believe the last run also had Metal Gears. Is that right, Tyler, or is this the first run Metal Gears?
This is the second run with Metal Gears. We made that upgrade a couple years ago. This run is DCC ready and sound ready. It has a pre-installed speaker and a 21-pin plug, so that you can run these right out of the box on a traditional direct current analog layout, or you can pop a decoder in and with sounds and have it all ready to go with all the bells and whistles.
Literally.
Very good. That blue
Yes.
one, that Denver South Park's going to look dynamite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially with that boiler.
Mhm.
Is that a Russian iron boiler?
Yeah, it is a Russian iron boiler, and that's a brand new paint scheme for that locomotive, as is the North Pole and Southern there. Colorado and Southern, which is the original prototype for this locomotive, that's making a return with a new road number. And we've also got the painted and lettered black, which is always popular with the narrow gauge modelers for customization and lettering it for your own freelance railroad.
And we're getting down to the last couple here. We're in large scale now. We've got a whole boatload of new introductions for our Dash 9 series. Now, you may remember a couple of years ago, we announced a conditional release of new paint schemes for the Dash 9, which ultimately did not come to fruition at that point. We're happy to say that we are able to now bring these paint schemes out.
Nice.
Now, these are going to be different road numbers to the ones that we initially announced, but they are still accurate to the prototypes, and they are still the same road names that we were initially announcing. So we've got Norfolk Southern in the standard scheme, CSX, Union Pacific with the yellow sill, Southern Pacific. Then you've got CSX nice. In YN2, Canadian National, and BNSF in H2 with the classic Santa Fe War Bonnet style nose.
Yes, very, very cool. Yes. Gosh, running out there in the yard. It's coming. The beautiful weather's coming.
Yeah, and you're going to get a few of these, right, Ken?
Oh, gosh. And these things plow snow, too. These have got so much pushing power. They are monsters on the track outside. I used to run 3 of them. I used to know Louis Polk a long time ago, and they were dynamite then, and they're awesome now. I'm so glad that you guys are making this happen.
Oh, yeah, we're happy to see them come back, too. You know, yeah. A lot of people were disappointed when the first attempt at bringing these paint schemes to life didn't work out at the time.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Now we can go from the largest large-scale locomotive we make to the smallest piece. We've got 2 new paint schemes for our speeder here. Baltimore and Ohio, inspired by their E units and F units, with the royal blue and the black stripe. And we've got the classic Milwaukee Road yellow and black colors. These have operating headlights, and they also have flashing strobe lights on the roof. So a lot of fun action in a little motorized vehicle there.
Can't confirm that these can plow snow, though.
No, good job. They're not. They're not, but they look awesome on a small layout. They just do.
All right, so that is it for our new releases. I know we went a little bit longer than we usually do, but we always have a good amount of stuff, and we want to make sure you can see it all.
Yeah, I do think we should say that's not even all the new stuff. We've got new road names for a lot of locomotives and rolling stock in the full catalog. We've got our new Thomas and Friends announcements. We've got some new Plasticville buildings. All of that is in the full catalog, which again you can see at our website. Get it from your local hobby shop. The new 2025 catalog. It is 318 pieces of train goodness.
Yay!
It's actually 336. got the Christmas section in the front.
You're right. Yeah.
I love you guys. All right. So that wraps up all the new announcements at the moment, correct?
That does, yeah. So we'll be looking to NMRA, where we have a few tricks up our sleeve, but we'll have to save that for now.
Okay, rock and roll. And for future shows, we're going to be covering some of your special products and working with stuff
Yes.
and building stuff.
We're changing up the format a little bit.
Yes, a little change in the format. We're going to get our hands dirty, which is fun, and just show some of this really cool stuff. I have all kinds of ideas. Good job on the passenger trains today. Good job on all the different categories. That was a lot of wonderful information. So I'll close it out here. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being on this segment of What's Neat, and this closes out this month's What's Neat.
All of the products seen on this episode of What's Neat are available from Lombard Hobbies in Lombard, Illinois, or order online at lombardhobby.com.
And by Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com.
Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com.